Welcome everybody to Chaos Coffee, the show where I have a cup of coffee and then we talk Chaos Zero Nightmare.
Chaos Coffee, grab those jars. Oh, by jiggle, feel the tug. Double D thunder, mouse in the fight. Chaos Coffee, cream on us.
Well met peeps, welcome into episode number 4, I think. I'm already starting to lose count. Welcome in. In this Chaos Coffee, we're going to be talking about Narja's trauma code. Now, I got a commission from the developers of the game, like, hey, Oko, can't you make something like showcasing or like summarizing up the trauma code? And I thought, let's do it. Now, my first attempt at this was me reading through the entire trauma code, like kind of as a let's play. I was underestimating how lengthy it was. So like that ended up being like more than 2 hours of recording. And I figured I know nobody's gonna be interested in sitting through all of that. So instead, let's talk through some like key points in it. Let's review it and like summarize it and talk about it. So if it wasn't clear by now, spoiler warnings. I would recommend that you go through this yourself because I honestly really fucking enjoyed it. Now, kind of everything with Narja has me really intrigued. So like it was nice getting to know more of her. I feel like I'm blocking stuff. Let's do this. I really enjoyed getting to like know more of Narja's backstory and her relationship with other agents and especially her partner Gaia. So, Narja's trauma code has us looking back through her memories, and it turns out that Narja is a replica. Narja is a replica born from Kaguya Pharmaceutics. The origin of her birth confines her, and chaos leads her astray. Yet, to sustain her life, she finds her way between freedom and instinct. Now, I'm a big fan of Carl Jung, and I especially love any sort of horror game that kinda delves into your shadow self. Silent Hill comes to mind more than any other title, and this trauma code is heavily inspired by those concepts. It's Narja trying to find her place in this world and like coming to terms with what she is as a creature. Narja is basically a replica created from chaos monsters, and she has some like innate instincts from those monsters. Now, a thing I like a lot with the trauma codes is that like there's like one main line like canon path, and then there's a lot of like branching paths that like, oh, what if we had done this differently? And we can see how that plays out. In one of the choices we get to make in episode 2, we can give in to like her hunger and we can just start feasting on basically everything. And this chapter has a really dope image of like Narja basically growing super large because she just won't stop feasting. As the story progresses, we also meet Gaia. Gaia is a previous replica that hasn't really like, lived up to the standard. Kind of deemed as a failure, but she becomes a little bit of our sidekick. And what I was kind of getting is that like Gaia is a little bit what keeps us grounded like in our humanity rather than in our beasthood as Narja. Now, Kaguya Pharmaceuticals, they're always on like the lookout to create better and stronger replicas. They want them to be substitutes for the Empire's processes. It's pretty clear that Kaguya's like replicant program is littered with failures. And any alive replica participating in this program, they live under the constant fear of like being deemed a failure and then being disposed of. As the story progresses, we come into contact with Kaguya Pharmaceuticals' like most perfect replicas so far, named Haku. Or I should say HA87, and like one sweet thing about this is that both Narja and Gaia, they also have like laboratory names at first, but then Gaia starts like naming all of the replicas to like give them more of a sense of like actually being important and like having their own souls, not just test subject beasts. It is, however, also stated that this is something that like all replicas throughout this entire program has done, and it's basically just a phase that all replicas go through. Somewhere along the way, maybe from the birth, Haku takes kind of a dark turn. She herself fully gives in to the beast of veracity and goes on a feeding spree. One of the big plot points is either following Gaia or following Haku. And big spoiler alert, if you follow Haku, you will end up getting devoured. Now the HA-87 beast, Haku, is something that we fought previously in Season 1, and I thought that it was kinda cool how they weaved it all together, and that we got some backstory to that boss. And instead, the canon route has us, instead of following Haku, we follow Gaia, and capitalizing on some chaos caused by Haku, we managed to escape the laboratory that has confined us for all these years. While escaping, we come across the director of the replica research program being on his way to be devoured by a couple of beasts. Our choice we have to make here is either we step in to save him or we let it happen. Letting it happen will result in us basically not being able to continue to live on with the guilt and meet a prematurely end. Instead, what Narja chooses to do here is to, foster more interhumanity, and even though Gaia doesn't really want this, we help the director. After these events, the backstory for her kinda cuts a little bit short. We know that she's more primarily trained in the way of combating monsters rather than navigating the chaoses. The story then takes us to what I assume is present time, and we go on a nice excursion together with Rei, Mika, and the commander, and enjoy the constructed environment in the Ark. During the story, Narja has always wondered what the outside world is. She's had many simulations and dreams what it would be like laying in a bed of flowers, seeing the ocean, and walking in the forest. Something that she gets to do among her friends. Honestly, I really, really enjoyed this trauma code. Chaos Hero Nightmare, the settings has always appealed to me. I like my kind of dark, twisted horror stories, especially if there's a little bit of a glimpse of a light in it. And as someone that already loved Narja as a character, having this backstory and having the backstory to the bond between her and Gaia just elevated all of that. Absolute cinema. So everybody, have you done Narja's trauma code? If so, what did you think of it? Wasn't it just amazing? Let me know your thoughts down below. What was your favorite part if you've done it? And if I had to say my favorite part, I think it was the bond between Gaia and Narja and the way that Gaia gave them the names. And I really do feel she was the innocence, and she was what kept Narja from giving in to her beasthood. Everybody, thank you so much for watching Chaos Coffee, and have a big hug, and until next time, Haku out.